Well, it's after 3:30 in the morning, going on Monday. Well, it's Monday morning now. I guess it's the 6th of March. And I don't know how you pronounce the name of this channel, but he's the only person that's keeping this whole narrative thing about Charlottesville alive right now. So I commented to him about walking on 4th Street. So anyway, he was wondering if I would walk on 4th Street and time it, maybe with a friend. And I was thinking about who I would ask, and I think maybe my friend Lori. So let me just...
Because here's the thing, folks. Mike Enoch, Jason Kessler, Richard Spencer, Chris Cantwell, that entire alt-right movement, they are controlled opposition. They are working for the government. Now, I can't prove that. I can't go to court and prove that, but I know it because I know how these people are acting. These people say that they're interested in white nationalism or in preserving white identity. Mike Enoch says that, for example. Jason Kessler says that, for example. If they were truly interested in preserving white identity or in furthering a white nationalist movement, do you think they would be going around inventing new racist slurs for black people? Do you think they would...
Well, I consider them to be Nazis. So, anyway, I haven't made a video in a while. I'm in the library at the new place where I live now because I don't have internet in my apartment. They won't be able to hook me up for a week. So I'm going through internet withdrawal, and I've used up practically all of my gigs that I have on my cellular. And so I have to come up here if I'm gonna, do anything. So I can't sleep, and I keep thinking, I need to contact my friend Lori, and she lives downtown. She's a walker. She walks everywhere, and so I think she would be interested in doing the timing of walking down 4th Street. So anyway, so many thoughts are going through my head right now. How much the world has changed, and what my life was like when I was a kid. So a lot of you know who follow me that, I took care of my dad, and then, we lived downtown, and then when he passed away, I found another caregiving job so that I could live in this lady's house and, basically exchange caregiving for rent because rent's so expensive. So then she died, it was less than a year. So through, circumstances actually of, asking for guidance from my guardian angels, I was drawn to this place. And I mean, who knew it was going to come to this, but I'm actually living in independent senior living now. But it's really nice, and I know some of the people who live here, and it has a real nice community spirit and really beautiful outdoors. It's called Woods Edge, and it's on the edge of the woods. And so, the deer come right up to the garden, and there's, just so many wonderful things about it. So I'm not completely moved in yet. My sister helped me put the artwork in the car yesterday, and that's getting down close to the last of the stuff that I'm, taking from over where I lived on Essex Road. But I just didn't have the energy to take it out of the car, so my friend Barbara's coming over in the morning to help me take it out of the car and bring it up here. Well, I live on the 2nd floor. This is on the 3rd floor. But anyway, I think one of the things I was thinking about was when I was a kid, my dad moved us to Marietta, Georgia, and we lived there for about 5 years. My sister had just been born, and it was a really sleepy little southern town. It was 20 miles outside Atlanta, and it had a downtown sort of park with a bandstand, and you know, when we pile in the car to drive into Atlanta, it was, there was nothing but green space between Marietta and Atlanta, and now Marietta is like a close-in suburb. So it's just been crazy to see how much the world has changed in, one lifetime. But anyway, this is kind of funny, but I was talking about, like I have a bad knee, but the reason I have a bad knee, I think basically is because when I was in my 20s, I was a street roller skater. And I was working at Kodak in Rochester, and I had this crazy gay guy hairdresser that cut hair on roller skates and sang opera at the same time. And, I was just like, I would talk to him about, oh, woe is me, what am I going to do with my life? Because, I was working in chemistry and I didn't really like it. And, I'm really an artist. And so he actually, I got roller skates because then we would roller skate around, the neighborhood together. And so I had this light bulb experience one day. We were standing in his laundry in his little hair salon, and he actually lived in this huge Victorian house that he painted purple. And it used to be a dentist office on the first floor, and then he turned it into a hair salon. And then so his apartment where he lived was upstairs. And so I lived in the same neighborhood, so we hung out together a lot. And I used to love to watch him do hair. And he said I had to just be really quiet. I couldn't talk. I had to just sit there while he was working with his clients. And then after I became a hairdresser, I realized why. It's like that person is paying for your time, and you really want to give them the full attention. So, but the light bulb experience was, I was doing one of those, oh, woe is me, what am I going to do with my life, blah, blah, blah. And he looked at me and he said, with all the creative stuff you do, I bet you can do hair. Well, I was enrolled in hairdressing school within 2 weeks after that. And then he and I moved down to Washington together because he loved Washington. And that's, he lived there during the Kennedy years. And so he actually came out when he lived down there, and he lived around DuPont Circle. So, so we pooled our resources and we moved down to DC together, and that's where I got all my hairdressing experience. And I learned how to do foil highlights. I worked with this really great guy that had come over from Paris, Jean-Claude, and he and I, we got along really good. He was screaming gay too. But he was so much fun. And so I developed a technique that he did, and as a result, I do absolutely amazing foil highlights. And so even though I'm retired, I have this clientele of people that, basically they just love what I do so much. So they come to me, and I have my own little shampoo bowl and stuff like that. So sort of, on the side, sort of quietly, I don't tell anybody I do this, I make extra income. And so it's, it's a good way to sort of be creative and make money and have a social life at the same time. So anyway, I'm going to cut this off now because I don't want it to be too long, and I've got a lot more thoughts, but I'll put them in another video.